All right, so the lazy daisy is our last stitch, and you can see here that I've done it in our 4 strands and our 6 strands already. And essentially you can go in either direction. So you've got your starting point and then you've got your tack point where you basically like create the loop and tack it down. So I did it where I started up here and then tacked it down at the bottom, but you can do it in the opposite direction if you're more comfortable with that. That's totally fine too. But the starting point is we're going to start at one end and we are going to come up. You're going to create a loop essentially by going back down the same hole. And there are some times where you'll do a lazy daisy where your starting point isn't the same as your like the point you come down in. So if you wanted to make like a wider petal with like a bit more of a curve, you could do your other end of your loop like over here. That's another way of doing a lazy daisy too, but for these ones we're just going to do, it's kind of like what another term for this one is called the detached chain stitch. So sorry, my needle keeps getting caught on my knot at the back. So you're in this example, you're creating a loop and then we're going to come up through the loop and pull closed. And as it pulls closed, I like to give it like a tug so that it's snug, but not pulling too tight. And the looser you kind of leave that, like you can pull the petals out to create a little bit, or sorry, the sides out to kind of create that petal shape, which a lot of the time when we're doing, we will use lazy daisies in sort of a circular shape to create like a little flower. And then you just come back down, tacking down the top. So you could create a bit more of a curve or it would end up as a triangle if you did like a really sharp turn. But that is a lazy daisy. And then we'll do 2 strands in just a second and I'll show you one more example. Okay, so just one more example while we're at it. So you can kind of create like different shapes with your lazy daisy. These are kind of the more petal shaped. So like they're often used in little leaves or sometimes you can layer them to create like a flower. So going down right next to the original, and then I hold the loop with one finger. You don't necessarily have to hold it. I just do to keep it more secure. And then coming up through, pulling down. So if I pull really, really tight, I'm going to end up with basically 2 straight lines. If I want to give it a little bit more shape, I can not pull so tight and kind of loosen this up a little bit, and it'll give you a little bit more of a curve if you wanted it to. So like this a little bit more. Spread that out, you're going to get a little bit more of a curve. The other thing that I sometimes like to do is it's like I don't know exactly what it would be. I think I've seen it used, people use a few different terms, but you can actually fill your lazy daisy. So one option would be like creating a little stitch. Sorry, I just want to come up without hitting my other stitch. So coming up, I could come up and do a little stitch right through the center and it creates a filled lazy daisy. I've also done it where I've gone over the tack on the other side. So it creates like a more of a curve and really fills the lazy daisy. You could do it either way. I think I've seen it called the filled lazy daisy, or there's another name for it that's not coming to me right now. But there are different ways to make this more fun. You could even use 12 strands. I've seen people do that. And then often like layering them. So putting like one on top of the other. So there are lots of fun ways to use the lazy daisy. This is just a basic showing how to make it, but you can fill so many spaces with lazy daisies. And they have like a really nice texture to them. So yeah, okay, so we are all done with all of our stitches. And I will meet you back with some more information on how to finish off with this kit.